Hello, hi everyone. I'm Anuja. I am looking after the growth at Arbitrum. And this is the very first time Arbitrum is coming to Korea, both in terms of events and introduction of Arbitrum. So here in this presentation, I'll talk about the Arbitrum introduction, how did we start, and what's happening on the Arbitrum ecosystem, and what's next, what are we focusing on. Um, so let me start with this slide. So Arbitrum as a technology is built by these three founders, which are from Off-Chain Labs. The technology is being built by Off-Chain Labs, and the Arbitrum Foundation is the overall Arbitrum arm. So let me start quickly with the introduction of founders. Ed Felton, he was the first person who actually thought about scaling Ethereum in Arbitrum. It was back in 2014 when Ethereum was not even launched. That time, Ed Felton thought about the scaling of blockchain as a technology. He was a professor at Princeton University, and he is right now the chief scientist and co-founder of Arbitrum technology. He went back to White House. He was the senior advisor to Obama, and he was also chief technology officer at White House. So once he came back from White House in 2017, all these three founders sat together in Princeton. Harry and Steven are also from Princeton. They all sat together in 2017, and they decided, let's scale Ethereum with the roll-up in 2017. Stephen Goldfeather, you might already know him. The famous textbook called Bitcoin and Cryptocurrency Technology was written by Stephen. And there are multiple technology which Stephen has contributed over the period of time since 2013. So now these three founders are the original builder of Arbitrum as a technology and coming from a very, very research background. So now let's see what exactly Arbitrum does. So as we all know, there are high scaling issues on Ethereum. So Arbitrum is an optimistic rollup which scales for Ethereum. So how exactly, so first of all, why we decided to stick to Ethereum? Because Arbitrum as a philosophy, we are very much Ethereum aligned, and we really feel that now we all understand there are scaling solutions for Ethereum. Now how do we solve it? We did not move to the layer 1 way because we still feel that that Ethereum has been in the space since, I think, 2015. It's been more than 8 years now. All the developers are very much familiar with Ethereum tooling, Ethereum, how to build on EVM, everything. So we decided, let's not build alternate layer 1. Rather, let's scale for what the problem really is. The problem is scaling, right? So that's where Arbitrum came as a scaling solution for Ethereum. And now what is the best way to scale Ethereum? There are multiple ways to scale Ethereum, right? There are Plasma, there are side chains, then there are ZK rollup, optimistic rollup. So founders, because they are coming from a very technical research background, they decided the best way to scale Ethereum is the optimistic rollup in 2017. So right now, all the transactions that happen on optimistic rollup, Arbitrum, they all compressed in a batch format, and they're put on the Ethereum chain. So that's how the optimistic rollup Arbitrum is backed by Ethereum security, but at the same time, it provides ultra low gas fees and very high transaction throughput. So this is the Arbitrum optimistic rollup solution. Now, few people know that Arbitrum has two chains. It's not just the Arbitrum chain, Arbitrum 1, which is the home for DeFi right now. Everybody must have heard about Arbitrum. That is Arbitrum 1. And the second is Arbitrum Nova, which we released last year, which is, again, so both the chains, they are catering to different use cases. Arbitrum 1 is an optimistic rollup, wherein Nova is a general purpose blockchain. Arbitrum 1 is a bit high in security because it's an optimistic rollup, and Nova works on the data availability committee. This is specially designed for gaming and social projects. Let's say if you're a game company, you don't care a lot about the security, but you might need very high transaction throughput. You need very smooth UX. So for those two use cases, we launched Arbitrum 1 and Nova. So let's talk about Arbitrum 1. Arbitrum 1, as I said, it's an optimistic rollup. So in this slide, maybe I'll quickly cover how exactly rollup is different than a sidechain. So first of all, because this is a rollup, the finality is again on Ethereum. That is why it is very highly secure than a sidechain. Data availability, basically all the proof that you put on Ethereum from the Arbitrum rollup side, These are all backed by Ethereum. That's how you see the data availability is available on optimistic rollup, but it's not available on a side chain. We also have our native bridge from L1 to L2, which is ultra secured and it is rollup. So again, you don't have to assume the bridges. We already have the native bridge available from optimistic rollup Arbitrum to Ethereum. In our own native bridge, because it waits for 7 days for the finality of any asset which goes from optimistic rollup to Ethereum. There are third-party bridges available which does the transaction very quickly. So Arbitrum native bridge waits for 7 days if you want to withdraw your token on Ethereum. If you want to deposit your token from Ethereum to Arbitrum, it doesn't take 7 days waiting period. But if you want to go otherwise, then it waits for the 7 days. The 7 days period is only because everybody can, apply for the challenging period if they think the transaction is malicious. That is not the case in sidechain. They only rely on the third-party bridges, which is basically owned by somebody else. So we still approve the L1 and L2 bridging, which is a native bridge. Then there's a 51% attack occurs. So basically the optimistic rollup design is such a way that if a majority of the validators, if they think these transactions are valid, then it is okay. If let's say anybody wants to challenge that period, then it has to be more than 51%. So it is ultra secure from the security perspective compared to a sidechain. Let's talk about the Arbitrum 1 ecosystem now. We have more than 2,000 completely audited applications right now which are running on Arbitrum, but that number I think is only for audited ecosystem which are there. There are multiple ecosystems which are already live on Arbitrum 1. Majority, it covers the DeFi. As you might have seen, Arbitrum is a home for DeFi. We really appreciate the innovative projects which are becoming home on Arbitrum from the DeFi side, but that was really not the case. I mean, this a public blockchain is available for NFT, gaming, metaverses, and everybody. I think DeFi protocols really find the good balance on Arbitrum because out of these three scalability solutions, right, like security or transaction throughput or gas, I think Arbitrum 1 found the sweet spot between security and the transaction throughput. I think that is the perfect combination for a DeFi protocol. That's why we think more and more DeFi protocols are being attracted to the Arbitrum ecosystem. Yeah, this is an interesting chart. This actually shows Arbitrum is very much closer to the Ethereum ecosystem. Why? Because on the right-hand side, the chart that you see, it is the number of ETH deposits in Arbitrum ecosystem from Ethereum. So combination of all other blockchains in the ecosystem right now, the highest number of ETH which are bridged from Ethereum to Arbitrum is the combine all of them, it's still more. It's literally more than 1 million there. So this chart exactly shows the users of Arbitrum, right? The nature of users Arbitrum are actually the Ethereum users. So I mean, it's the number of deposits, right? So all the whales, all the users on Ethereum, they're actually using Arbitrum as a layer 2 solution compared to everybody else. I think the ETH deposit count is also higher because they are using the native Arbitrum bridge, which is ultra secure. So I think this is the most secured place right now, which is showing this data. Yeah, when I was creating actually this presentation on 2nd June, I was also very surprised to see that this number has literally gone very much up. That is a number of, that is a TVL on Arbitrum. So as I said, right, the Arbitrum is a place for innovative DeFi protocols. 67.8% of the entire TVL is only on Arbitrum compared to all other chains there. So this is really amazing to see. It's more than, I think, 5.8 billion is the number there. And on the right-hand side, the chart that you see here, that is the unique addresses on Arbitrum, which is growing and growing quite well. This is a chart which I took from the L2 bit, which is the comparison for all the layer 2s here. As you can see, the first line, 65.5% is the market share of Arbitrum 1. Compared to all other rollups which are presently available in Web3 ecosystem, Arbitrum 1 holds the majority of the market share. Total 5.8 billion is locked on Arbitrum 1 right now, which is the most secured and safe place right now in the ecosystem. Um, Yeah. Apart from the gaming, I mean, apart from the DeFi protocol that you might have seen, GMX, DopeX, and Gains Network, so many good projects from the DeFi side are on Arbitrum, but many few people know that Arbitrum 1 is also quite growing on the gaming ecosystem side. The main treasure DAO is the DAO, gaming DAO, which is on Arbitrum 1, which are onboarding the gamers on Arbitrum ecosystem. But apart from that, Pirates Nation, Forgotten Rules, Zverse, these are also the gaming companies which are literally innovating on Arbitrum. So if you look at the Pirate Nation, they work on the proof of play concept. So again, gaming companies are also innovating on Arbitrum right now. So that's amazing to see. Now let's talk about a bit about the Arbitrum Nova, the other chain apart from Arbitrum 1. So this is not a roll-up. Nova is not a roll-up just like Arbitrum 1. Arbitrum is a true optimistic roll-up. But Nova, I would say the architecture is a bit different. Rather than rather than batching all the transactions and putting on Ethereum, what Nova does is it batches all the transactions which are happening on Nova and they send it to the committee. Now this committee is called as Data Availability Committee, and there are a set of people which are running this committee. And if they approve that these transactions are valid, then they give the Data Availability Committee gives the certificate that all the batches, all the transactions which are in this batch are valid. And then that proof again gets back on Ethereum. But it doesn't wait for Ethereum or anybody else to wait, and that's how it further reduces the gas fees, and also it further increases the transaction throughput. As I said, why we needed Nova? Because Arbitrum 1 was again, I would say, a bit costlier than Nova, and Nova further reduces down the gas fees because gamers and social projects, they still cannot afford Arbitrum 1 at certain time and we can also not further reduce the gas fees on Arbitrum 1 because we really want to, we don't want to compromise on the security for DeFi ecosystem which is on Arbitrum 1. So this is the Nova. Because the Data Availability Committee is running this Nova, that's why the gas fees is literally in 10 cents right now. You might have heard about the Reddit community points. They are not on Arbitrum 1, they are rather on Nova. Actually, when I think back in 2021, when the Arbitrum team went to a contest which was run by Reddit, and they invited many blockchains out there because of their community points use case. They wanted to choose a blockchain, and Arbitrum actually team built this Nova technology for Reddit, and they really liked it, and then that's how the community points are running on Nova. Then we opened up the blockchain because we already built the technology for Reddit, so we opened the technology for everybody, and that's how we called it as Arbitrum Nova, which is serving the other social projects and gaming now. Now, as I said, right, the Data Availability Committee is approving the transactions on Nova. So who are these people who are running the Arbitrum Nova? So there are, I think, 15 or 16 members on the Data Availability Committee. The few names are Reddit, Consensus, OpenSea, GCP. These are some of the names which are there in Data Availability Committee. Why we chose these people? Because these are the reputed companies out there. They would not do any malicious activities. And again, there is a consensus mechanism between these companies as well. So still, we are not relying on one committee here. OpenSea, I think the Arbitrum is the only place where OpenSea has supported 2 chains for any blockchain. So OpenSea is also available on Nova. Yeah, so we talked about how Arbitrum started and what is the technology. We also saw the Arbitrum ecosystem. We also talked about the Nova. But now what's new, right? I mean, we are growing, but what are the major things which are happening right now and what we are planning? So you might have seen the announcement in the month of March this year that Arbitrum has launched ARB token. Now Arbitrum is a governance protocol. It's a DAO now. So the technology is now with the community, with the DAO. So the concept here is that, let's say, any technology or any upgrade that we do from the Arbitrum side is not only controlled by the set of people. It is not controlled by the second slide that I showed you, Ed Filter and Steven or Harry. It's not controlled by them. They are still continuing building the technology, but the final say and final decision is with the community now. So with the Arbitrum DAO, it's a self-execution DAO. Nobody has to wait for anybody's approval. Once you get the voting, then automatically the decision will be implemented. So this is Arbitrum DAO now. We are very fortunate to get a really high qualified delegators who are running the Arbitrum DAO. If you want to check out Arbitrum DAO, you can just go to arbitrum.foundation forum, and you can literally right now also, it's been only 2 and I think 3 months, but we are really fortunate to see amazing proposals for Arbitrum ecosystem, and we are very hopeful that now we are one step closer to the decentralization, and Arbitrum DAO is running the Arbitrum technology now. The second announcement that we did again in the month of March this year was Arbitrum Orbit. Because when we talked to many enterprises, when we talked to a lot of projects, there was really a demand that people really want to spin up their own blockchain. They don't want to work on a layer 2 or layer 1 because of some use cases. Right? Let's say they want to launch their own token. Let's say they want to run their token as a gas fees on their blockchain. Let's say, for example, Yuga Labs, right? Like Yuga Labs, now we all have seen the news that they're also working on building their own blockchain. Why? Because maybe they want to create their own ecosystem. Maybe they want to, they have like users in millions, like a Web2 company. So for many reasons, we thought that, okay, there is a genuine demand for people to build on a layer 3, which is like their app-specific chain. But again, compared to between Ethereum ecosystem only, they don't want to go like a standalone, right? Because they don't want to, let's say, handle a lot of tooling or bridging or everything on their own. So that's where we launched Arbitrum Orbit. So now you can build any app-specific chain, layer 3 chain on Arbitrum 1. The advantage here is that because the base layer for L3 will be Arbitrum 1, so you can take the advantage of all the tooling which is available on Arbitrum 1, bridges, indexer, layers, oracles, wallets, everything. So you don't have to spin up your own tooling there for layer 3. It's all, you can get the benefit from Arbitrum 1. And you can also get benefit for Arbitrum 1's liquidity. Let's say any DeFi protocol, if they want to create their own DeFi ecosystem, they can do it on top of Arbitrum 1, so that they can also attract more and more layers, more and more DeFi protocols and liquidity as well from Arbitrum 1. So these are a few examples, but Arbitrum Orbit is really open right now, permissionless completely for anybody to build L3 on Arbitrum 1. If you want to spin up your own L2, which is, let's say, if you want to create your own Arbitrum as a layer 2, then you have to again go to the DAO, because DAO owns the technology, and you can write proposal, and you can also get the licensing with complete live fraud proof, and you can also spin up your own L2. So these are the two things which are coming right now for Arbitrum Orbit. And this is the coolest part. Right now, the team is working on a product called Stylus. Right now, this product is in work in progress. We are aiming to launch, I think, this by end of this year or maybe next year. So the product, the technology that we are building, it's called Stylus. What exactly it means is that because still we are Ethereum aligned, we are completely EVM, but still we feel that if we are looking for the mass adoption, then we have to go above EVM, above Solidity language, because there are thousands and millions developers in Web2 which are still struggling. Mainly the Web2 companies, the enterprises, they don't have the Solidity developer, they don't have the dedicated blockchain team in their enterprises, right? So we always wanted to expand and make the user journey, developer user journey very smooth. So this stylus allows all the developers, Web2 developers, to write the smart contracts in C, C++, and Rust language. So you might have heard, you might have known that these things have been implemented by alternate layer 1 in the past, like Solana has Rust, Aptos has Move, but there's literally no one right now in EVM ecosystem which is allowing this kind of capability. So this is I would say we are very, very optimistic about this product. This will allow basically onboarding the Web2 developers here. So we are just starting with the Rust, C, and C++, but that will not be limited to that. We will also open for other languages as well in the future. Again, this technology is right now under research and building. Once the technology is ready, then again the DAO will decide if this should go on Arbitrum or not, and then we'll open the doors for the Web2 developers there. That is it about the Arbitrum, what's new. And if you are looking for to connect with anybody in Arbitrum ecosystem, I'm here for the next hour. And also do follow our Arbitrum.foundation website, and you'll find all the governance documents, builder documents, and Orbit, everything, all the information. That is it. Thank you so much.